Welcome to All Things Chiropractic.
Welcome to another episode of All Things Chiropractic. I'm Paul Andrews.
I'm Dr. Mark Davini.
Well, this is a special holiday episode because tomorrow is Thanksgiving.
Yes, gratitude without attitude.
I love this topic. We're going to talk about Thanksgiving and gratitude. I just can't say enough about this for so many different reasons. Now you're saying to yourself, well, how short is this episode going to be?
Thank you all.
Yeah, right. Thanks. See ya. No. So how can we loop this back into All Things Chiropractic? It's very easy. I'm sure a lot of you do out there anyway, but this Thanksgiving special edition episode has to do all about gratitude. Now, because Thanksgiving's tomorrow, we can just talk a little bit about Thanksgiving itself. There's a great book out there called Mayflower. That's by Nathaniel Philbrook. If you haven't read it, it's great. It gives you a very honest look at the life of pilgrims, the interaction with American Indians, Native Americans, and how all that worked and how the first Thanksgiving came about. It's not everything that you probably were taught in school, but it's a really good book. It's a good read. Yeah. And I found it fascinating.
Well, here's an interesting piece of trivia. You live in Mashpee, home of the Wampanoags, the Indians that the Pilgrims met when they landed at Plymouth, Massachusetts, where I live.
Yeah, right.
So the two of us have a special link to Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And you, after reading this book, you understand, I think, better these land acknowledgments that happen in these towns, too. You know, it's interesting. So the gratitude as a topic, because Thanksgiving obviously includes gratitude, I think there's a lot of powers seems like the wrong word, but it really, there's a lot of positivity for someone who has gratitude in their life. And I'm going to give you some examples. If you're a believer, I am, 1 Thessalonians 5:18, one of my favorite verses, says, be grateful in all circumstances. Now, that can be difficult.
That is the challenge.
Mark's looking at me like, I'm not feeling so grateful sitting across from you right now.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. It depends on the day, probably. Yeah. But there's a lot of, when you try to stay positive by having gratitude, there's a lot that helps with your mental health, with your professional well-being, and
your persona. It's what you put off.
It is. And I think the hardest part for me in this, when I try to, because I label myself as a silver lining person, you know, when there's something negative or challenging, I always try to look at the silver lining of it. Where's the positive out of that? Sometimes the positive is just to be grateful that you are working on something maybe that's challenging for you. We talked about this in a different episode about, you know, if there's something that you want to improve in your life, don't run away from the opportunity to tackle that. Use the opportunity to help improve yourself. And sometimes that's the only gratitude you might be able to find out of a situation that's challenging.
Well, I mean, life is a learning experience, and it's supposed to be, which means that you are grateful for all that you experience, both what might at the moment be perceived as positive or negative.
Yeah. You know, like, so let's loop it into practice, like as an example. Doctor, who's retired now, but a long time, he said to me, you know, there was like a challenging patient in the office, like super challenging, you know, very needy and just grumpy and blah, blah, blah. And he said to me, you know, you wait and see. If I can convert this person into chiropractic and make them feel better, they're going to be the best bird dog I've ever had, meaning the best referrer. And turns out he was not wrong.
Yep.
That person, as challenging as they were, and they gave very little back to you, you know, when you pour out a lot of energy and love, they would send people in all the time. Oh, this person said this office was great and this doctor was great. And like, you never heard this out of that person's mouth directly, but yet they clearly were influenced by the positivity and the gratitude for that opportunity.
And sometimes you have to give it time. The reason why I'm a chiropractor is because I fell off a motorcycle when I was 19 and I started getting headaches. And it took 4 years for me to see a chiropractor, which meant 4 years of suffering in my mind. But then I find chiropractic and it helps me with my headaches. And then I go on to become a chiropractor. And, here I am 45 years later. And you look at that and say something as negative as an accident actually became the most positive thing in my life.
Mm.
You have to be great. So you say, how do I be grateful for me sliding on my head for 20 feet? Well,
it explains a lot, doesn't it? Everyone.
It explains a lot. But then you don't, but I'm not grateful for that particular act, but you're grateful for the outcome of that act.
Yeah. So as we head into the holiday tomorrow, so a lot of people do this anyway. They have this exercise maybe around the dinner table about giving thanks for particular things or people that year. But there's a lot of studies that show these kinds of mental exercises are very positive for your life. And the more often you do them, the more you will start to see the changes, the positive changes in your life, whether it's, again, your actual mental attitude or how you approach something, problem solving, or just enjoying life a little bit more.
Isn't this part of what we talked about in our emotional intelligence podcast, that self-awareness and self-reflection and self-regulation and all those things? It really, there's nothing new under the sun. We go through and put new terms on it, but gratitude has been since the beginning of time. It's supposed to be something that we feel and have and has always been around since the beginning of time.
I think it's easier to give gratitude when things are going well.
Oh, for sure.
But when things aren't, I remember this was many years ago, back when my billing staff were in person, and we were around the meeting table, and I'm like, literally, I'm saying to everyone, everything's going really well. I'm so happy with how the office is working and the clients, and I just was just giving all these positivities about how everything was great. And literally, as I'm saying this, I'm not even kidding you, I start to hear alarms in the background, and my server alarms were going off, and like multiple server disk drives failed. Just as I'm saying this.
Thank you.
And I said to myself, I'm never saying that again in a staff meeting. But I was grateful for the fact that the one drive out of the RAID array survived so that the data wasn't lost.
Right.
And I was grateful for my IT coming over to fixing it. I wasn't grateful that he said, well, if you had put in a reserve drive, it would have been better. I said, well, aren't you in charge of this stuff?
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me? Well, I was trying to save you money. Well, did you though?
Did you? Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But I was grateful he told me, because then we could put one in, right?
For the next time.
Yeah. So, to me, the real work is being grateful when there's those challenges that are happening in your life, and finding whatever it is, even if you're grateful that worse stuff isn't happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm grateful that it can't get any worse, which is a saying I never say.
Yeah, right. And I think one thing that's connected to, not to get super out there, but hey, this is a fun light episode. Doesn't sound light so far, but it's supposed to be a light episode.
You'll be grateful for it later.
Yeah, right. You'll be grateful when it's over, right? Forgiveness. To me, I always connect gratefulness oftentimes with forgiveness, whether that's a personal relationship or forgiving yourself or others, or saying or doing something stupid. The more that I talk in my life, the more opportunity for me to say something really stupid. And I usually come through for myself in that aspect. You're shaking your head, yes.
Never disappoints.
Yeah, exactly. And then I say to myself, why did I say that? Maybe I could have said that different, but I got to forgive myself, give myself the grace to say, as someone who talks a lot for a living, those opportunities will be there to or you're just not feeling it that day and you're trying to work through with somebody, whether it's a staff person, a friend, and you just weren't, I didn't acknowledge that maybe it wasn't the day to do that.
But you have to look at it as always in broad strokes, big picture. And I think what happens is we get sucked into the microcosms of our world. And if you look at it from the microcosm and, through the microscope, so to speak, you might see things that you go, oh, I don't have gratitude for that. I'm not thankful for that. But you have to step back and look at the broad strokes and say, okay, overall, what does that mean? And overall, how did that affect my world? And overall, guess what? It wasn't necessarily a bad thing. And no, the world is not against me. It's not that kind of thing. So, big picture. Big picture.
I think that includes letting go, the baggage, because it's going to weigh you down. You've heard it probably a million times before. The hard part is actually doing it.
Right.
And how to do that, and there's tons of resources for stuff like that. But this isn't meant to be just a self-help kind of episode. This really is just to highlight and, put a focus on the gratitude and the thankfulness.
And we want to thank so many things in our lives that have contributed to our life. And I'm thankful for Paul. I'm thankful for the opportunity to talk to you people, for Tools of Practice, for Synergy CEU, and All Things Chiropractic. I'm grateful for all those things, but I'm also grateful for my wife and my life and everything that contributes to me being on this earth as someone who is, hopefully progressing and becoming better over time.
Well said. He should definitely be grateful for me, don't you think? Don't you think, everybody? I mean, clearly, obviously. Kind words. Thank you, doctor. If you were to apply this in your practice, it's about expressing gratitude with every patient. Those patients, even the tough ones, even the ones that might be in your face or they're having a bad day, or
without them, you have nothing.
Yeah. And for me, it can be lost on myself as a staff person of an office all those years ago, is reminding your staff that it isn't about what's on the computer screen or what gets printed on the printer. It's the patient in front of you that's the priority, and that to be grateful for them. And it's a nice reset if you need it.
Right.
In your office.
It's so easy to get sucked into everything in life that you forget what it is that it's all about.
It is. So, there is this momentary pause that I like to take on Thanksgiving for that. And I am very grateful for my business partner over here, Dr. Davini. He's a smart guy. This is the only time you're going to hear all this stuff. So just sit back and relax. One of my friends who listens to this, he's not a chiropractor, said, I was expecting to get all these criticisms of me, but also maybe some compliments about me. But the entire time, all he said was, I would go to Dr. Davini for anything. He's really smart and he knows a lot. And I really have learned. And I'm thinking, what about me, buddy? Like we've known each other for decades. Could give two tosses about what but I was grateful that he liked the episodes.
There you go.
And I was so grateful he liked you.
Broad strokes.
So much.
Broad strokes.
But it was, as funny as it is, it's true. So I am grateful for you and the opportunities that we've been able to foster within our business partnership. Of course, I'm grateful for my family, my friends, my faith, my church, all of those things. It is fun. I think it's fun to catalog them, because then you say to yourself, what am I missing? And to me, it almost relates to year-end goals, which a mentor of mine taught me to do years and years ago, which is really funny. And over the years, they've turned into more, maybe it's just because I'm showing my age now, but they're turning into more gratitude reflections than goals for the next year, even though there are goals there for sure too.
And don't fall into the trap of saying, oh, I'm gonna write down all the things I'm grateful for and all the things I'm not so grateful for. No, just write down the things you are grateful for.
Yeah.
It's not a contest. The list of things you're grateful for, doesn't have to outweigh the other things that might appear to be an issue at this point in time. So just write all the things down that you're grateful for.
And if you feel comfortable, share it. Share it with loved ones. if you're not embarrassed by it, why should you be?
Why should you be? It's all what you are about.
And, obviously, if you're an employer, be grateful for your staff and let them know. It's funny.
And if you're an employee, be grateful for your employer.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. Exactly. Everyone's cheering. But it's not always about like money. When an employee to recognize, the research is out there to recognize an employee. Oftentimes, when they survey employees, what they say about their bosses is, one, they don't get enough critical feedback to know if they're doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably guilty of that. Two, that it isn't about money rewards. There's also just recognition of the job that they're doing, instead of showing all the shortfalls of something they may not be doing right, is to recognize what they are doing right and be grateful for that.
Oh, for sure. I remember at one point in practice, we were trying to go through a growth phase, and we said, okay, so, let's set some goals and reach, certain levels. And if you reach those certain levels, then we'll reward you financially. And I remember one of my CAs sitting there saying, well, that won't work. I go, okay, why not? He said, because wouldn't that imply we're not doing our best job already?
Was that the message you were trying to send?
She was saying. So
she picked up what you were laying down.
Right. Maybe it's just tell us what we need to do and what, maybe what little temporary thing we're going to try, but we always do our best job. So it's not like we're slacking off, and that's why we want to go through this growth phase. It's because, we're at that point in time in the practice, and now let's just move forward. So it made me realize that you have to be thankful for the fact that they're doing a good job. And if you're training them and you're the proper leader and everything is the way it's supposed to be, then they're probably doing their best job. And be grateful for that.
Yeah.
And if you don't like the outcome, don't look so much toward them. Maybe look a little more inward.
Well, and then if you surprise them with compensation, all the better, because they weren't expecting it.
Yeah, they won't turn it down.
I dare say they wouldn't. Why would they? However, it is a good reminder this holiday season, as we roll into the busy holiday season, not just Thanksgiving tomorrow, that our attitude of gratitude can take us a long way, personally, professionally, family, friends, you name it.
Absolutely.
So as you sit back and relax tomorrow, hopefully full of your Thanksgiving favorites, we hope that you have a safe, fun, happy, and grateful Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, all.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of All Things Chiropractic. With gratitude, I am Paul Andrews.
And with gratitude, I am Dr. Mark Davini.
Thanks for listening to All Things Chiropractic. We'd love to hear from you. Visit allthingschiropractic.com with comments, episode ideas, or questions. Or connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at All Things Chiropractic Podcast. Be sure to join Dr. Mark Davini and Paul Andrews next time for another episode of All Things Chiropractic.